nothing is more important than someone's psychological safety. Because in
Stunning.
that person's mind, this could be the be all and end all of their life.
Welcome to another wealthy conversation with HR professionals who are really in the fire, in the heat of the challenges around employee well-being, psychological safety, mental health, call it whatever it is. It's about people. And there's no other great expert to talk about people than a person herself, Kassidy Matthews from Village in Life. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Of course, thank you for having me. Quite excited to share some insights.
Well, we're here to hear from you and what your insights are, the good, the bad, the ugly, the dreams, what works, what doesn't, the boss you hate, the company you love, whatever you want to share. It's all good. We're in a safe space here. But let's climb in. Just give us a quick synopsis. Who is Kassie and why people?
Cassidy is a very straightforward, very knows what she wants kind of girl. Um, I love being in the outdoors, particularly in nature, but I also feel that it grounds me a lot because I have chosen, or rather, I feel that my career path has chosen me to be a people's person, to be the person for the people. In that, with the knowledge that I've gained and the experience that I've gained over the past couple of years, whether it be through education or like on the ground exposure in the working world, I think that I have quite a bit of knowledge to share with employees with regards to what their responsibilities are as an employee, but what their rights are as well, and finding the balance between the two, whether that comes with a work-life balance or a peer-to-peer balance, because those are two different things. And I find that often employees confuse that, and a lot of them are either stuck with they stuck with the thought of work is work and I'm not there to make friends, or I have no one else, so I'm going to cling on to my colleagues as my friends, and they kind of blur those boundaries.
Mm.
So I think I've officially made it my mission to help employees find that balance and incorporate work as part of their life, as opposed to needing to have it be but an aspect of, or have it be their whole life.
Excellent. Amazing start of the conversation. There's two key things you put here for me. And the one you stated, one is that it was really a career path that you were called to. It's like a calling as opposed to just a job.
Yeah.
And the second part is this thing called work life balance, which states that there's work and there's life. But what you're saying is no, it's actually life,
It is life.
right? And where people try and have the separation, I can't have friends at work. Yeah, we spend 8 or 10 or in hospitality, 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day with these people, and you don't want to be friends with them. It's a bit of a puzzle. So let's just quickly talk on that career path, because this is an interesting conversation that I actually haven't had with an HR practitioner, where it really needs to be a calling as opposed to just, I had to study something when I left school. And so
Mhm.
I did HR because it looks easy versus accounting or law.
Yeah. So look, I think for me, it's just about the passion. I think that practicing HR can become mundane because there might not be situations that look exactly the same, but the process that you need to follow in order to reach a solution or an outcome is highly likely to be the same. So if you're not passionate about the outcome of helping people in that sense or in a particular struggle, continuously doing the mundane might not give you the type of job satisfaction that you truly want.
Mm,
So for me, I think it's just being passionate about people in the workplace, and that came naturally to me. I know people who are in this field and it doesn't come naturally to them, and it becomes
right.
quite taxing. Um, Whereas I find because I'm passionate about it, it energizes me, even though some of the situations that I'm exposed to might be quite heavy or quite difficult to kind of deal with or assist others in dealing with it. But I think at the end of the day, it just fuels my passion even more and it makes me hungry to learn more so that I can
Mm.
empower others even further.
So, do you see that also being a bit of a stumbling block when we're talking about specifically psychological safety, where you actually have to be a psychologist to a certain extent, unless the company's big enough to have a psychologist directly there? But if you're not energized by it and it's not a true calling, do you feel that that's going to actually work against the HR practitioner?
I do think so, yes. And the reason I say that is because the approach might be incorrect.
Hmm.
Your approach from the get-go might not meet the situation where it needs to be met. And you might look at it as, okay, it's just another process that I need to follow. But that initial approach needs to be with a certain softness, with a certain tenderness, a certain body language, tone of voice, watching the language that you use because you need to understand triggers of this specific situation.
Right.
And you would miss all of that and simply push to either the paperwork or the process
Hmm.
because you're almost missing that passion that I would say is required in this field because of all that we are exposed to and how much sometimes we don't even realize it, but how much employees actually rely on their HR department. Some people have no one else, and they
Hmm.
feel like walking into the HR office is that one breather that they get in the day, or the only people that they can trust.
And trust is a huge part of it. I was having a discussion yesterday with somebody about trust and how so many of the workforce have lost trust in the executives to be able
Mhm.
to speak openly and freely. So you're saying that that employees need to know they can go to the HR, trust them to be able to speak openly about their challenges, problems, and issues they have.
Yeah, and I think we all know the stigma that comes with HR. It's the hire and fire department.
Yeah.
Um, so I think there's that stigma combined with the pressure of needing to be the middleman between employees or your talent pool and your executive leadership or your
Mm.
senior leadership. Though that combination can become quite overwhelming, where you need to instill that trust, but you always also need to break a barrier. And not all audiences carry that stigma, but you as the HR practitioner never know.
Mm.
You don't know if someone walking into your office comes with that stigma, carries that stigma about "Ugh,
Right.
HR again, or they
Yeah.
just walking in and they need a listening ear. So you constantly need to read the room and you constantly need to read the person in front of you and pay extra attention. But you also need to make notes because you need to do your job at the end of the day. But you don't want them to think that you're reporting back to
Yeah.
anybody on what they're saying.
That's it.
Um, yeah, so finding that
Right.
balance is also a bit tricky at
Yeah,
times.
it's not just a job, it's about the person. Let's hone in a little bit here and talk specifically about employee well-being programs. What have you put or what have you seen in place that either has worked phenomenally well or gone wrong? Because every time it goes wrong, there's a lesson to help us learn what to do to go right.
Hmm.
What does your playbook look like with well-being?
Look, mine is always be on the ground. You cannot, or you can, but you shouldn't make uninformed decisions. And I think especially in this industry, if you're not experiencing what your Ops 1 staff is experiencing, you cannot inform what's going to aid their well-being. So for me, it's always about creating that connection and building that relationship with all staff so that you can understand how to meet them where they are.
Mm,
So, as an example, Human Rights Day, um, I decided that we should involve them. We should create a bit of an interactive video and share it amongst within the company, but involve them, make them feel seen and make them feel heard. Human
mm,
rights impacts people differently, and we need to understand it from all perspectives. So that was the quickest, easiest way for me to think of how I can kind of gather all of that information while making everybody feel that they are part of the company and they belong. but that we also care about what they feel and what they've experienced. So it ranged between age groups, between genders, between race, between religions, between ops levels or job grades rather. Um, and we built the video and we did a voiceover and the staff loved it. Excuse me. They felt that they were seen.
Mm,
And that such a short clip, some of them only there was only 10 seconds of what they had said in the video, but they felt that they were seen. And on behalf of, let's say I was interviewed, but colored females felt that they were seen simply through me being in 10 seconds
right.
of video. So
Makes sense.
I think that the making informed decisions that are intentional has a bigger impact than we will ever know.
Right. So there you're talking about one great example of initiative for Human Rights Day. But that's one day, once a year. What about the
Yeah.
other however many days there are in a year? I can't remember right now. But what about all the other days there? I mean, you're in a 24/7 business. It doesn't sleep.
Yes.
So how do you ingrain that the people know throughout the year that they are seen, heard, and valued, and not just once a year or through let's put a bean bag in the canteen or healthy food once a week. It's more than that.
I think the best thing that we've done, in my opinion, because of the ranges of households, um, and almost economic backgrounds.
Mm.
I think, or let me say, my favorite initiative is our staff kitchen initiative, where
Okay.
because we're in the hospitality industry and we're based on a hotel property, um, our staff have access to a set menu from the hotel kitchen at an extremely discounted rate. And they can order every day and they don't need to pay on the day. Between payroll and HR, it automatically gets deducted at
All
the end of
right.
it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to think about what they're going to eat for the day or what their family is going to eat for the day. If they wanted to, they could order for their family and take it home with them. If you're working long shifts, you can sort yourself out for the full shift because the range of the menu extends from salads to soup to sandwiches to wraps, all at an affordable price. And I think it removes a big worry for a
Mm.
lot of our staff, especially the staff who are very hands-on and they require their bodies and a lot more energy to actually produce good quality work or be at a higher productivity level. So I think
Mm.
that kind of supports a big chunk of our staff, again, in ways that we might not, or me myself, might not ever be able to imagine. We don't know the economic backgrounds that some of our staff come from, or what they go home to, or what they can't go home to. So I think for me, that's my favorite one,
It's amazing.
and
So you're not
it's a
only you're not only taking a bit of
never-ending
the
initiative.
sorry, you're not only taking the burden of the working mom who's now got to go and feed the family, you're taking that burden of what do I feed them away from them. Now they're going to pop on the way home and pick up the quickest, easiest thing to slap on, or the pre-made food in the spa, or the takeaway, which is way more expensive, I can only imagine. But you're also getting a good balanced diet that they're getting and their family's getting. So very right. I like that initiative. That's an amazing one. Where if you had a magic wand, Kassidy, and you could implement anything to help with employee well-being, psychological safety, to help the people better, what would you put in place?
Hmm, very good question. Implement a self-help booth. Um, and almost like an SOS, but to a practicing psychologist or counselor,
Mm,
where an employee can go into the booth, press a number, and it will put them through to whomever is best to deal with their situation, whether it's substance abuse, whether it's physical abuse, whether it's psychological safety, whether it's work-life balance or peer-to-peer conflict, workplace stresses, anything like that. Each number should symbolize a different stressor, and they can
Hmm.
press the number and the relevant professional will be on the other end of the phone. I think the reason for my brain choosing that approach is because it takes away that stigma of, oh, I'm going into the psychologist's office, so other people probably think there's something wrong with me. Or for people who prefer a different social setting, whereby face-to-face might be overwhelming for them. It would benefit them that they just need to pick up the phone and press a number and
Hmm.
they don't need to say much or they don't need to introduce themselves or don't need to come face to face with that difficulty of, oh my goodness, there's this person sitting in front of me, what do I do now? Because that can be overwhelming for certain people.
Sure.
um so yeah, I think a self-help booth,
Very,
24-hour
very, yeah.
self-help booth.
Sort of a the ear, the problem solving, but without the issue of worrying about conflict of trust. That if I go to the HR and talk to them about this bullying, my boss is bullying me, that but the HR's close buddies with my boss because they're on the same level. Now I can't go to her. How do I trust her with this? That is going to get that is going to come biting back. You're actually saying not outsourcing it, but compartmentalizing it in with the necessary skills. Because I could
Mhm.
only imagine as an HR and dealing with multiple staff, you would want to spend the time with them, but don't always have it. So having a dedicated area, a booth where they can actually pick up a phone and connect with somebody who's skilled in that area will be hugely
Yes.
beneficial. So thank you for that. That's a brilliant idea. Any last words of wisdom for Kassidy before we round up?
um No, I just think it's important for us as HR professionals to keep in mind the importance of our, our, let's say, presence.
Mm,
And I choose the word presence because oftentimes people used to call HR paper pushers, and we no longer are that. But there are times in the day where you need to push papers. Excuse me.
no problem. Got to,
There are times in the day where you need to push papers, or when the day gets so intense with all the tasks that you need to do that you're almost dismissive of someone who needs your intentional time.
right.
And I think it's important that we always keep that in the back of our minds that nothing is more important than someone's psychological safety. Because in
Stunning.
that person's mind, this could be the be all and end all of their life. And when they explain it to you, in your version of reality, it might seem extremely small or minor, but in their version of reality, like I said, it might be their be all and end all.
Fantastic.
Um, and a simple 5 minutes of being present and intentional could change that person's outlook or perception or day. So a little bit of presence and effort goes a long way, even
Love it.
on our busiest days, even on our most overwhelming days. We just need to remember that we are the people's person.
Fantastic. Beautiful end to this discussion. Kassidy Matthews, thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciated and look forward to staying connected.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for having me, Tim. It was a pleasure.